My colleague over here says he has spring fever.
Yeah, it's I'm struggling with it at the moment, big time.
It is gorgeous outside. Batman and Robin on a Tuesday with a little splash of Alfred and some Bat Dog in between. The I Love Seville Network. Keith Smith, a lot we're going to cover today. What's on the brain on Tuesday?
You know, that's the problem. I've got spring fever on the brain, Jerry. I'm looking for folks to chime in. I mean, we can start a little bit about what the last 7 days are looking like as far as actives and pendings. It's at one
going in the wrong direction, my friend.
It is going in the wrong.
Yeah.
It is going in the wrong direction. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's
we have a flood of buyers associated with what the Fed Reserve is doing, and interest rates increasing. And as those flood of buyers come into the market, the inventory is going off faster than ever before.
Yeah, and then we've got this whole, maybe we'll tap into this, what's the conversation that you have with your seller? And we've talked about this a couple of hundred times about, what options we can offer them. But, there is, I think you showcased it yesterday. I attempted to do a Twitter the other day, and I failed miserably at it. A tweet? I'm not a tweeter.
Okay.
My fat thumbs got in the way, and I made an error, a typo error, and unlike Facebook,
you can't edit them
because I'm 60 years old, and I go to Facebook. You can't edit them, and the good news was a bunch of very smart people corrected me. So
what did you do over there?
It was about the project over where the old Giant used to be.
I heard about that.
Yeah,
I was sent that.
And I typed in, because I was doing 5 things at once, typical Smith action, and I typed in BOS instead of City Council, and it was really great. There was a bunch of people on the feed that corrected me. So I stand corrected. I made an error. It's just the project's in the city of Charlottesville.
Charlottesville
doesn't change the meat of the. Is it called the tweet? The meat of the tweet, but. Yeah. Anyway, maybe we'll talk about that.
You had a little Allison Rabel and Jim Duncan action on that.
I got corrected.
We'll talk the new units that Sean Tubbs put in his newsletter, and Tubbs on the program on Friday.
That's right. Tubbs and it sounds like a Miami Vice thing.
That's right. Tubbs and
Ned. Oh, you're talking about the Miami Vice thing.
Tubbs and
Neil. See, look at that. I'm batting 1,000, and the cameras the cameras aren't even out yet.
We'll get rocking and rolling here on the Tuesday edition, guys, of Real Talk. Give the show a like and a share anywhere you are watching.
But I got Liza Newbone, so I got one person one animal that's loving me today.
Very nice, Judah. Here we go. Let's rock.
Are you ready to join us today, Judah?
I think he knows he's going to. Get ready, guys. We'll have some fun today in the Tuesday edition. Judah, we can rock when you're ready. Guys, good Tuesday morning. Jerry Miller, and welcome to Real Talk, an insider's guide to real estate, life, and the pursuit of happiness. We are live in Charlottesville, the Commonwealth, the country, and the world on the I Love Seville Network, presented by Yes Realty Partners and Keller Williams Alliance. So much to cover on the Tuesday edition of the program. We will talk market conditions. We will talk interest rates rising, inventory shortening, and we will get into the Keith Smith brain and try to come out alive on the Tuesday edition of the show.
Are we going to talk about my inability to tweet? Is that going to come up too?
We may talk Keith Smith and his Twitter thumb. So I don't know if you've seen it. Perhaps you have. Perhaps you have not. Bill McKenzie, we'll get to your comments,
hey, Bill,
sir.
How you doing?
Sean Tubbs, Town Crier Productions, Great Eastern Management Company, has filed plans to redevelop Seminole Square Shopping Center. Folks, 352 units potentially on the site of Seminole Square Shopping Center, located where, Keith?
in the city of
in
Charlotte.
the city of Charlottesville. Located in the city of Charlottesville. Nicholas Erpy, good morning, my friend.
Hey, Nicholas. Hey, Nicholas. We will not be able to join you today because we've got an event in Richmond, but good luck this afternoon. They're doing an event at...
Vitae Spirits of Guest Appreciation Day.
Yeah.
Today, y Mañana. Fantastic organization,
And I'm a
fantastic
huge
brand.
gin fan. It's just too bad that I've got to go do a little event in Richmond tonight.
That live event concept at one of your sponsors, a brilliant idea. Whoever came up with that should be applauded and accoladed.
Okay, hold the time
Judah
out.
Wigkauer is
Gary.
our director. It is tomorrow, Nicholas Erpy says, the Vitae Spirits.
Oh.
Not today.
Oh.
It is tomorrow. Thank you.
What time was that? tomorrow?
Nicholas Erpy, let us know what time of the feed, and we'll give it a little plug or two here on the Real
Yeah.
Talk Tuesday edition. So good morning, my friend. Hello.
Yeah, hey, how you doing this morning? I say this every time we just do Batman and Robin. I love the roundtables. It's great information out there, but as far as the funometer goes for me, I just love these a mano. Did I do that right?
Yeah, mano y mano.
There you go. Conversations on that end of it. But yeah, so the kickoff on Mr. Tubbs, he's coming in on Friday along with Neil Williamson to the Sir Neil Williamson, I should say, to take a little bit of a deeper dive in it. What I got myself into a little bit of trouble on Twitter because of my, as Jerry refers to them, my fat Twitter thumbs.
I don't think that was a fat Twitter thumbs thing.
No.
Nicholas Erpy says 5:30 tomorrow at Vitae Spirits for that event.
We might make that because
Keith Smith's going to make it, Nicholas Erpy.
our event in Richmond ends, I think, around 3 or 4, and we can shoot straight into town and end up with a cocktail. So I, for some reason, had it on my calendar for today. So thank you for keeping me straight. Look at this. Everybody's keeping Smith straight.
It's when viewers and social media celebrities like yourself have viewers and followers, you got to be on your P's and Q's. Journalists like Allison Rabel will correct you online.
Yeah, she did correct me. Yeah, so I was doing a typical Smith 5 things at once in the morning, and I typed in BOS, which stands for Board of Supervisors, instead of City Council. But the essence of the tweet was that I believe there was a comment on there that it lead to imply anyway that there was some formal public or jurisdictional approval on that, meaning a political approval, which is not the case. This is a by right subdivision, and we've talked, or a project, we've talked on and off on Real Talk many a times about the difference between by right and rezonings on this end of it. So I think the Twitter thread was about how long was it going to take and what my thoughts were on it and so forth and so on. But I did make an error, so I'm here to publicly apologize for that error. It is in the city of Charlottesville, not. Now, it is awfully close to the Albemarle County border.
Yeah, Stonefield, the line. This is just inside it in the city.
It's literally just inside it.
Okay, so give us the nitty gritty.
Yeah, so I mean, there is not much nitty gritty to talk about. That the reality of it is, and this is an administrative process. More than likely, this is going to take somewhere between 18 months to 2 years to get through the site plan process. Then probably about another year to do the horizontal work, that's the development work, and then about another year to 2 years to do the vertical work. This is a multifamily project. It's an apartment project on it, which I believe is also a low-income tax credit project, which means that it'll be for housing affordability on that end of it. So this is probably 3 to 5 years, closer to 5 years before something happening. And what I was trying to say in the Twitter feed, which I screwed up, is what we really need to work on is changing red tape into green tape. We've been talking about this for years, right? There's really no reason that this project should take 2 years to go through the site plan process. Just to put it into perspective, the project we did on Nassau Street, we meaning the land trust, these were money given by the city, right, to go ahead and do it, and it took us about 1.5 years just to get through site plans so we can pull a building permit. So we lost 1.5 years of trying to go ahead and provide homes for the housing affordability crisis that we're in at the moment.
352 units on Seminole Square Shopping Center.
Yeah.
What do you make of that?
Yeah,
On a bus line.
Yeah.
Very close to some
checks all the
government employers
it checks all the boxes.
in the urban area.
It checks all the boxes. It's exactly where the comprehensive plan. But the point I was trying to make is this is not a public hearing process. So Keith and Jerry can't get up there and oppose it. We can oppose it, but this is purely a ministerial red tape. It checks the boxes and it'll go down the line over time. Well, technically, if we want to get Smith into even more trouble here, which I'm about ready to do.
I love when you do that.
So another thing most folks don't know, and we'll look for Ned and Neil to verify that, they can get that site plan approved and it's good for 5 years. So they can just get it approved and sit. They don't have to go vertical. They don't have to go horizontal. I don't know the particulars of it. I'm just putting on an old developer builder hat on that end of it. But knowing about what's going on and the rezoning and so forth and so on in the city, this is a smart move on their part from a business perspective. I'd get this thing done. I'd get the site plan done. The term du jour, the technical term, is called entitled, right? So it's entitled. So what could happen, right? I own this piece of property, and then all there's new zoning amendments and all these new rules come up that gonna, and it could be more restrictive than what's currently here, potentially. So it's a smart move. Get it entitled. It's just a process.
Wild Bill McChensey says, where will all the children go to school? All the kids on Michie Drive currently go to Greenbrier. This is the smallest school from a size standpoint in the city of Charlottesville. That's something that certainly will need to work out.
I can firsthand attest to that. I actually gave a couple of presentations, little chats to some of the young folks over there, the AP folks over there about math and
There's no AP folks in Greenbrier?
Okay, I got my wrong school.
Yeah.
What's the school?
AP is high school.
Oh,
So,
no.
yeah.
No, these were sixth graders. I mean, the teacher's a friend of mine.
Advanced placement, AP?
Well, they were advanced math. Yeah,
It
sure.
could be honors.
Maybe it was honors.
Yeah. Greenbrier.
That's another correction. Look at you.
Greenbrier is an elementary school.
Yeah. So what's the school right behind the right by Chick-fil-A on 29 North?
Chick-fil-A on 29 North. You know that school? Who knows that school?
Yeah.
The Chick-fil-A on 29 North.
Yeah, that's the school I was. I thought that was Greenbrier. I may have
AP
it wrong.
is, so advanced placement's high schools.
High school. Got it.
Yeah, high schools. Neil Williamson sharing the article from the Daily Progress in the feed. Good morning, sir. Neil Williamson, watching the program right now. For what it's worth, statistically, apartments generate fewer children than other forms of housing. Sure. And he says, Keith, it's Woodbrook.
Woodbrook, thank you very much.
Bill says, or Walker Upper Elementary.
No, it was Woodbrook. I got it wrong. Another one I got wrong.
Yeah,
I'm
so
doing great today.
Neil Williamson.
Spring fever.
What do you make of the development? I'm sure he's pro development. He's pro 352 new units. It's in the urban area, so it's important to emphasize this. Okay, it's important to emphasize this. We can be in favor of development when infrastructure can accommodate said development. Schools, roads are good examples. This particular project by Great Eastern Management, redeveloping the Seminole Square Shopping Center, which is antiquated and a forgotten shopping center, is the type of development we need to be in favor of. The infrastructure is there. The roads are there. It's in the urban ring, and we desperately need new housing. I can understand apprehension and concern associated with development down Avon Extended, parts of Scottsville, eastern Albemarle County, development associated with lack of infrastructure. But I cannot understand opposition to this project when it literally is in the city of Charlottesville, in the urban area, the designated growth area, at a time when we have zero housing stock.
And there's one component you missed.
What's that?
It's zoned to do it.
Right. This is, and it's on a bus line. It's on a transportation line.
And the point I was trying to make in my infantile way on Twitter was there isn't an approval process here. We can have this conversation, we can have this fodder, we can go back and forth on this stuff, and you can oppose it. It's not going to stop it. There is no opposition process through this. This is purely in the control of the property owner and the process that is established. Now, in saying that, this is why participating in this new rezoning rewrite is so important, because you've got a comprehensive plan that says this is where they want it. You've got the zoning that says this is where they want it. They have a subdivision or a site plan ordinance that says these are the boxes you need to check on that end of it. So what's important about being engaged in this new rezoning rewrite, and it's either going to be a zoning text amendment or it's going to be a whole new zoning ordinance, but they will go through this, and I will lose my mustache come, because it's gonna happen, and it's probably gonna happen before the deadline that we have at this point.
Neil Williamson is shaving your mustache live on air on Real
Time
Talk.
out, stop. I've never agreed to him shaving my mustache.
Well, you did agree to it live on air.
I think I got talked into that. I agreed that I would shave my mustache.
Yeah,
so.
live on air.
Fine.
Live on air with Neil Williamson in the
Not a
house.
problem. I have not had this off my face since 1985, but that's fine.
Neil is licking his chops right now.
Yeah. I know he is.
Licking his chops. So we're getting
We got to think about how we're going to do that, by the way.
Agner Hurt. Is that the one you were referring to?
No, it was Woodbrook. It was Woodbrook. I had a brain fart. It was.
Woodbrook is the one behind
the
Coors Brothers.
Coors Brothers. That's the
okay.
one.
Okay.
So I have a running friend who's a math teacher who teaches. I call it AP. It's probably the wrong term,
okay.
but honors or whatever it is. And it's an interesting story to that. If you ever want to hear it one day, I'll tell you about it.
I would love to. I would love to hear it. So one development project that has certainly got a lot of folks talking. Are you following the Stribling Avenue project?
I am. So that's a rezoning, right? So
Yeah.
so that's a rezoning. So that is, So those who are not myself or Neil or Sean or you or folks that are in the best way to think about the difference is, one, you've got AX permission, and one, you don't, right? So by right, you don't. You just look at the book and you check the boxes and you move forward. Now, red tape is going to slow it down, but it's not ultimately going to stop it.
What do you make of 170 units on Stribling Avenue behind Dirty Nellie's on a road that is pretty damn tight, if you may?
It's a little bit of tight, but that's the point I'm trying to get at. There's going to be an established process to go through that. Look, I didn't do any prep for today's show, so this is why I love today. We're just winging it, right? We're not winging it. We're just having fun. But the numbers are ridiculous. The last 7 days, 75 new homes. This is the whole car footprint went on the market. 131 went off. 2 weeks ago, that was pretty much on par. So, look, anything to help housing affordability, anything to help this housing ladder, right, is a good thing. Now,
interim city manager, basically a hired gun,
said no.
Said in regards to the sidewalks,
ain't happening.
We should not pay for the sidewalks. Charlottesville City Hall should not pay for the sidewalks on Stribling.
So
said that yesterday. Did you watch the meeting?
I didn't watch the meeting, but I read it in the Daily Progress.
Dynamite meeting.
Yeah, I'm
a
sure.
lot covered.
Well, it was interesting. I bumped into Juan Diego the other day, and the meetings, the city meetings, are starting to run like they should be run. So that's exciting. That's from my perspective.
Yeah, we know why that is.
Yeah, we
don't need to cover that on now.
No, I wanted to give him kudos.
What do you make of Stribling Avenue?
Yeah, so, again, more...
Massive opposition to this project.
Of course, yeah. More housing is good all the way across the board. It helps these particular numbers and to do all that stuff. Will it ultimately get approved? I haven't really tracked that project that closely. You're probably tracking it more closely than I can. My concern would be, what was the by right use on that? In other words, what's the number of homes that they can put on there without going through the asking process? And that seems this is going to be the trend. So if we don't all come together, right, the people that oppose it and the people that are trying to do that, and come together and try to figure out a way that is mutually beneficial for everybody, if we continue these clear lines, right, left and right, whatever it is, and I'm not talking politics, I'm just talking two different sides of the street, right on that end of it, what's going to happen is you're going to end up seeing probably more of the projects, you know, the by right projects. I know you're seeing it in Fluvanna County. I know you're seeing it in Greene County, where the developers and the builders are just going to take the shortest path forward. They're doing it for two reasons, right? One is it's just, why am I getting my head kicked in? The second reason is, you know, these numbers we're talking about, these 75 and 131, you know, 2 years from now, they're not going to look like that. And when I have a project that's going to take 5 years before I can put people in it, I need to start thinking about what that market's going to be like 5 years from now. And I can speak from that from a very personal perspective because I got caught in it. I got caught up in it and I couldn't stop it at that particular point. So you're going to start seeing a lot of buy right. So I'd be really curious what the buy right configuration of that looks like.
Of Stribling.
Yeah. I don't know what it is.
Sean Tubbs, I just tagged you in the feed, and/or Neil Williamson.
They probably know
the buy right configuration of Stribling. I know that the neighborhood is certainly coming out in droves right now.
Yeah.
There was a letter to the editor in the Saturday or Sunday edition of the Progress. I've just shared that comment or that letter to the editor in the comment section right now by Cabell Marshall. And the concern is traffic on a narrow road and safety on a narrow road and what potentially 1,200 extra cars on that road will do.
So how are we coming up with 1,200 extra cars?
That's the estimated traffic count.
So somebody looked at a traffic impact analysis?
Total to the 170 units.
Yeah, so let's talk about that.
It's in the news. I'm reading it right now.
You know, I get that.
Yeah.
But the reality of that's a pretty large. So they're saying 150, 175 units are going to produce 1,200 cars?
1,200 cars.
Yeah, that
Trips.
Okay.
Not cars. Trips.
Got it. Trips. So the interesting part on that is you know the city is requiring two parking at the moment anyway, 2 parking spots per unit. So I was doing some quick math that doesn't quite add up, and generally in that area they're going to be 1. So look, I'll ask the question a different way. If nothing happens there, what's going to happen, right?
So I believe if nothing happens there, you're looking at 42 units.
Got it.
Instead of 170.
Got it.
That's a hell of a difference.
Yeah, so let me ask you a question.
Kevin Yancey of Waynesboro says make sure you highlight the water concerns there. Neil Williamson is sharing a link to
because they're running a new water line down there.
Yep. Yeah. Neil Williamson and Dee Dee Smith has highlighted that quite well on this network and in comments on Facebook. Neil Williamson has shared a link about rent control and said, should the government be setting rental rates on private projects? I said, hell no. No way, Jose, on that.
Yeah, we can move off of that subject pretty quickly because you and I are on the same phase. I grew up in rent control places. I know what that looks like.
Yeah, that's bad news bears.
Yeah, so the better answer to that is to bolster the rental assistant programs and stuff like that for the actual tenants. Actually, one of the great things that happened with the Planning District Commission when we were granted this money for rental assistance, the state actually listened to us, and instead of going to the tenant, it went to the landlord, which was a huge change on that end of it, and it upped the game big time. But I can't see where rent control is good. So here's what's going to happen on this Stribling. This is my prediction for what it's worth.
Okay.
If there isn't some sort of middle ground that we hit, it's just going to be, what'd you say, 46?
42.
42. Probably single-family detached units. My assumption is I don't have the layout committed to memory on that end of it, or if it's even duplexes. So I can speak with some authority to this. Nassau Street, we just resold, Land Trust just resold our first resale, 812 Nassau Street. It's closed. Uh-oh, my mother's checking in on me. She watches the show. She literally.
She said, go ahead, finish your thought.
She said, "Get it right, Smith, son." but I can speak to some authority to this. Duplex, 1,500 square feet, so that's one half. 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths. Would you take a gander what the market value, the appraised market value, not what I think it is, not what you think it is, but what the appraisal thinks of that one half?
Run that by me again.
So Nassau Street,
Yep.
it's a duplex.
Yep.
15, we built them, the land trust built them. 1,500 square feet, 3 bedrooms, 2 baths, a two-story unit. All the bedrooms are on the second story. All the living areas on the first story. No garage. Happens to have solar on it, but that was granted, so that doesn't get rolled into the value. We just sold it, and when we sell it, we have to do a fair market value appraisal. Do you want to know what that?
And it does not include the land.
No. So the fair market value
Includes the land.
Includes everything.
So new construction, newish.
No, it's 2 years old.
Newish construction.
2 years old.
With the land.
This is so when you do
I'd say fair market values be between $300,000 and $350,000.
$400,000.
That's crazy.
So my
So
point.
crazy.
So my point is, so there's going to be 42 homes in that area, because this is the area. To go back to the one in Charlottesville, that's on 29 North, which would be a buy right project. On that end of it, there will be 42 either duplex units or single-family detached units. My suspicion is there'll be duplexes because of the property size. On that end of it, they'll be trading at the $400,000 plus mark. If everybody's okay with that, then that's okay.
You know what's crazy is I think a lot of people in the community are completely fine with that.
Okay. Then that's what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And then you go back to the question of the phone calls I get about the land trust homes Greg Slater and I are listing. When I get phone calls from cops, from firemen, nurses, and teachers, and go, I want to live close to Charlottesville, and I have to let them know they make too much money to go ahead and qualify for our housing affordability program, right?
It's unfortunate.
Right. So
Certainly not where I stand, but I think quite a few. In fact, I would say perhaps over half, the majority of the community feels that way.
And that's okay,
It's their prerogative.
That's what a democracy is all
Yeah.
about, right?
Yeah.
But now what's going to happen?
What I'm basing
So
that
let me
on-
back up for a second here, if you don't mind.
Sure.
So we build 42. Let's just play this out. We build 42 duplex homes on there that are ranging between $400,000 and $450,000 in today's market, right? Somewhere in that range. Let's call it 400 for simple math on that end of it. What's going to happen to everybody's taxes? And what is going to happen to everybody's tax value? So we're complaining. Everybody's worried about their taxes going up. That's going to increase your taxes more, and everybody might not agree with me on this, more than, what was it, 100, what was the original number, 100 and what? What's the original Stribling? What's the rezoning application for?
The original Stribling is $170.
170.
42 is the likely scenario.
And is there any affordable housing?
There's some. There's
That's
some affordable housing put into
required
here.
in that?
Yeah,
got it.
some.
Got it.
Not a ton, but some.
Yeah, and maybe that's the negotiations you have with the developer, but screaming at each other or pointing fingers, right? What's our 3 rules here? No divisive politics, no pointing fingers, and Smith, get it right. So, but yeah, from my perspective, how I make a living, how I put food on the table.
Oh, I know you're pro housing.
Right. Well,
Yeah.
If it's 170 or 40, it's okay. It's not in my opinion, it's not the right thing. We're not going to be able to get the people who serve us, the heroes out there, the nurses out there that are heroes, to live in our community. It breaks my heart when I have a conversation and say, I can't help you. I don't have anything to help you with, unless you want to go to Buckingham.
Yeah, I was having this conversation with friends of the program over the weekend. movers and shakers in this community, and these folks who are, developers and landlords are saying the likelihood of anything affordable being constructed in the city is slim to none.
So
was
this
the
is
common statement among all of them.
Got it. So
And they said, why would we go through this process when we can just go buy right, make it easy, and sell the units at a margin where we know we're going to make money without the hassle?
it's called the path of least resistance.
Path of least resistance.
It's the path of least resistance.
And I've said this so many times on this program, affordable housing are buzzwords utilized to get elected into political office.
That is why, and you mentioned it yesterday, and that is why 3 years ago, and we've got I'm going to jump off of this convention I'm going to tomorrow to take a meeting with the Regional Housing Partnership, but I've been trying for about 3 years to drop that term and replace it with housing affordability. And to me, that's a better term than affordable housing.
I don't even think housing affordability exists in Charlottesville.
No, but as a term.
Roger West, we'll get to your comment. John Blair, hello on LinkedIn. We love you, John Blair. Friend of the program, John Blair.
So as a term, it's a little easier to get your brain around than affordable housing, because what's affordable to you and me may be different to Judah, may be different to Liza, right?
I'll play devil's advocate for the sake of a talk show. Now, the city manager yesterday, did you follow up? Did you read the articles about yesterday's meeting?
Very, very quickly.
Did you hear what the city manager proposed the tax rate should be?
I'll let you fill the details in on me.
2 cents, not 10 cents.
Well, you know why he can do that, right?
Well, yeah, but do you want me to finish the details?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So he also said that school reconfiguration should not happen.
Okay.
He said the tax rate should be 2 cent increase and not 10.
Okay.
Also said we should consider a property tax rate reduction. This is literally the hired gun city manager. I'll ask this question to everyone that's watching the show. Assessments have spiked on average 12% across the city of Charlottesville. 20% Orangedale community, 20% plus, 20% 10th and Page plus. What happens when...
We're over 30% on Nassau Street.
What happens when the city of Charlottesville has assessment spike? What happens? What does the city of Charlottesville get?
When the assessment spike comes,
what do they get?
It gets more revenue.
Gets more revenue.
Depending on the tax rate now.
Gets more revenue.
Sure.
With assessments going up. What happens when tax rates go up? What does the city of Charlottesville get?
More cash.
What happens when property taxes go up? What does the city of Charlottesville get?
More cash.
City of Charlottesville,
Am I doing good so far?
if they continue on the road of making the community expensive, do they not just get more cash?
They get more cash, but it also depends on the other side of the ledger sheet, right? So you're a business guy, right?
Yeah.
So you got your expenses and you got your income, right? So as far as tax rate goes and all that stuff, that's just an income side of the ledger board.
It drives revenue.
It's an income side. It's a P&L. It's a profit and loss. You got
So
your
does the city of Charlottesville actually want to make the city more affordable? Or does the city of Charlottesville want to give the perception of making the city more affordable?
You know me well enough to know I'm not going to point any fingers at people at the city and all that stuff, because I think folks out there really are doing the best that they can.
Do you?
I really do. I really do. I do not think anybody over there has some nefarious...
I don't think it's nefarious. I think it's needing to finance and fund a lot of things.
Whoa. Now that's two very different comments, right?
I mean,
so the approach that you took in the beginning, that I heard anyway with my right dead ear and hearing aid, by the way.
Yeah.
So be a little patient with me. Is that there was some plan, there was some nefarious plan out there. What you're describing...
I never just said nefarious.
No, I know that.
Yeah.
I interpreted it that way. So...
I think the city of Charlottesville is completely okay
You're going to let me finish?
with assessments and tax rates and personal properties going
Got it.
up. Because they have a number of endeavors they need to fund that they cannot currently do.
Yeah, so that's just a business model, right? So...
That's why I think even housing affordability is
Yeah.
unrealistic.
I don't disagree with that to a certain extent, but the comment that I was trying to finish was that what I've learned in 35 years of working with local politics, and I'm sure Neil will attest to this, everybody wants this little pet projects. Everybody wants this whatever it is, and it starts slamming into this budget, right? This group wants this. The land trust is trying to get the city to give more money, right? Judah wants to raise more money to take care of Liza, right? I want that in the budget. That's why when you had we had the conversation with Ned, and this is why I watch this very closely, as I watch the budget. The budget season is the season to watch.
Oh, no doubt.
Because that's when you're going to know where everybody's priority is. But if you remember some shows ago, we talked about this 10 cents, and that's just the cap. They have to advertise the cap. They can go down, but they can't go above that number, and at this point it's 10 cents. So the part of the component, and I was trying to get actually Ned Galloway in on Friday, but to join us, but he's in the middle of budget work sessions right now. That's what we really need to start watching, where they land on the budget, because that's going to tell you what the cent increase is going to be. By the way, in Albemarle County, in Fluvanna County, in City of Charlottesville, in Louisa, in Nelson, in Greene, you need to start watching that, because that portion of that triangle is going to tie everything together.
I watched the meeting closely yesterday.
Good.
Start to finish, very closely. And I think, reading the tea leaves, the 5 councilors have cooled on a 10-cent tax rate increase.
I'm sure of that. Yeah.
That tax rate increase is going to be much smaller, thank God. City councilors have cooled on school reconfiguration as it's proposed currently, and it's $100 million form. That's not going to happen. And the Commissioner of Revenue, Todd Divers, is really getting in the ear of council of
Which,
lowering
by the way, is an
personal
elected position.
Elected position.
Most people don't know that. That is an elected position.
I mean, let's cut to the chase. Todd Divers is the Commissioner of Revenue, an elected position. What's going to happen when we get these?
Which the city council has no control over.
What's going to happen when we get these personal property tax bills?
Well, that's the real.
And people are going to say, "What the heck is going on here, Commissioner of Revenue?" And he knows he has to get reelected.
That's exactly right.
So think about that. So what is the guy doing right now? He's telling everybody on the record, papering the trail, that I was the one that made the push of lowering the property tax rate, because he needs to utilize that leverage come re-election time.
But Jerry, this has been going on for 35 years. As long
Sure,
as
everyone knows that.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
This is, you know what I heard in that whole comment that you made?
What's that?
The system is working, right?
Is the system working?
Well, they sent out something. They said, this is what we're thinking. There was a tremendous amount of feedback.
It's certainly working if you're a homeowner who makes some money. The system is working for you.
I'm talking process, Jerry, right? Process. So it happened. It went out there. There was feedback. That was the purpose, that they have to advertise this rate, right? You've tackled it. We've tackled it. Neil's tackled it. Sean's tackled it. The Daily Progress has tackled it. And they're now getting, meaning the elected officials, are now getting feedback. The elected officials, to include the treasurer.
Commissioner of Revenue.
The treasurer is also an elected position.
Absolutely.
The Commissioner of Revenue, right? The city council members, the hired gun, AKA city manager, is hearing it, and thankful to this conversation we're having. It's starting to get adjusted a little bit. If you remember some time ago, I said, let's wait and see what happens with the budget and everything. So more than likely, you're going to be somewhere between 2 and 10, is what my suspicion is going to be. But all of that's going to depend on how many people, what that budget's going to be.
Heather Lamont Walker, hello, and welcome to the program. Retired teacher.
Unlike Nelson County, which Jesse Rutherford made a commitment on this show, on Real Talk, that they're going to do revenue neutral. And at the moment, the little bit I've been tracking on that, they're on track to do that.
Oh, yeah. I have no doubt that's going to happen in
Nelson.
Nelson.
Track to do that.
Vanessa Parkhill, Queen of Earlysville, hello and welcome to the program. Neil Williamson, Roger West, and Jason Howard, we're going to get to these comments here in a matter of moments on the show. I think if you know, we all follow this closely. I am a junkie for news, local news. A junkie for local news. I watch the council meetings, and at times they are like watching paint dry. That painful. but I watch them.
And kudos, I'm going to stop you here for a second. Kudos to you. Kudos for doing that. Unfortunately, that's the reason why a lot of people don't watch it.
Dude, if you put the council meetings on a network like this, I can assure you they're going to be much more engaged than where they have it currently. What I saw last night was 5 people pretty much indicate that they're not going to do the reconfiguration. 5 people pretty much indicate that the tax rate is going to go up a couple of pennies instead of 10. 5 people very trepid about a sidewalk project on Stribling Avenue that's paramount to this new development behind Jefferson, behind Dirty Nelly's, behind Wayside Fried Chicken.
Mm-hmm.
I saw 5 people extremely concerned that their legacy is going to be associated with massive gentrification in this community. I saw a hired gun city manager, a consultant, frankly, playing an extremely conservative with city finances, and I applaud him for doing that. I applaud the city manager.
It's interesting. It's a very interesting concept because very few jurisdictions have ever done this before that I'm aware of anyway. I'm sure there's quite a few of them. Because the beauty thing about having this contract employee, because that's what he is.
Yeah, he's a consultant.
But he's a contract employee.
Yeah.
He's not an actual employee. And that puts him in that person in a very different position than a regular employee.
No doubt.
Which is interesting. And I applaud you for watching it.
The consultant is able to make decisions that are not associated with pulse or popularity.
No.
They're able to make decisions that are from a macro standpoint, not followed by emotion.
It's even better than that. He doesn't allow politics to get in the way.
That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah, he doesn't allow politics to get in the way.
Pulse or popularity.
So I will tell you the decision to do that, in my opinion, was a stroke of genius on the city council's end.
It wasn't a stroke of genius.
Well,
They had no choice.
I was trying to take the high road.
The guy who they hired to take this position
Yeah, I know.
turned down the position before he took the job.
Yeah, I know that.
It was desperation.
I was trying to take the high road.
The next question we should all be asking on this show is one.
But it's working because he's not afraid to open up his mouth.
That's what I'm saying.
He's not afraid to get fired.
He doesn't care about popularity or pulse.
And I would imagine, I don't know, maybe Neil or Sean will look in the actual contract that they've hired, the consulting contract that they hired. But I bet you if they terminate him, they still get a ton of money or terminate the contract prior to the termination.
They're not going to do that.
No, of course not. No.
Yeah, they have zero chance of doing that.
Luck, desperation, genius, the fact that that's there and the fact that you're reporting to me and to everybody how that meeting went tells me it's working because he's like going, no, this is what we're going to do. So to me, that's a great sign.
I mean, it's something. I don't know if it's a great sign
that
you have a hired mercenary that are essentially being the city manager. The next question that everyone...
Mercenary is a strong word.
I mean, that's what he is. He
He
travels from jurisdiction to jurisdiction, commanding hundreds of $1,000s of pay to be a jurisdictional leader in an interim status.
So I prefer the term fixer. He's a fixer. He's going to come in and fix it. And as long as they allow him to fix it, it's the same conversation I said with our dear friend Chip Boyles, right? As long as you let Chip do his job, which ultimately didn't happen.
Yeah, they didn't let Chip do his job.
Absolutely didn't let him.
The next question we should all be asking, if we're following this as closely as we all do, is the longer we wait in 2022, and we are now at the end of the first quarter of 2022.
Awfully close to it.
Okay, we have less than 9 days left. We're getting closer and closer and closer to November 2023 elections.
Correct. Yeah.
November 2023 elections are now less than 20 months away.
So that's why this date that Neil Williamson and I have picked is so important because if they don't have this worked out, meaning the new ordinances, the city, by June?
No. The next question we need to ask is, the closer we get to next year's election, will we have to wait from a political pressure standpoint of hiring the next city manager to the next council is elected? So Payne, Snook, and McGill are up for re-election. Sina McGill is not going to run again. She looks exasperated, exhausted,
well,
and
we
downright
don't know that
demoralized
for a
by
fact, but the body language is there.
The body language is there. Lloyd Snook is no spring chicken. Michael Payne, I think, is one of the most frustrated people on council here because his entire campaign associated with affordable housing has literally not really materialized or come to fruition.
I've had a couple sit-downs with Michael. You're right. He's definitely frustrated.
So you got 3 of 5 spots on council that are coming up for re-election in November 2023. Are they going to hire a new city manager before that election? And if so, is that person going to be a lame duck city manager?
So, Jerry, we're saying the same thing, right? We're saying the same thing. I just happened to wrap it around the rezoning rewrite.
The rezoning rewrite's going to happen.
You're wrapping.
City manager may not.
And maybe it doesn't have to. Maybe it's working, right? Maybe the consultant is what they need for a projected period of time. If it ain't broke, don't fix it, right? So if it's working and it's moving us in the right direction, maybe this might be the new norm. Who knows? We don't know that yet. But the point I'm trying to make is the reason why I picked that June date for my bet with my mustache is because if this doesn't get all this that you're talking about, right? I know this from decades of doing this. If the silly season starts, which is going to be June, because June they're going to have to, by June, I don't know the date in June of 2023, but there is you have to announce by a certain date, somewhere in the beginning of June, if I remember it correctly, on that end of it. So once there's announcements made, everything gets a little wonky because you're 100% right. So if there's a contested election, now the 3 that are up, that's this many.
I don't think Snook's not going to run again. I don't think McGill's going to run again. Payne may run again.
The point I'm trying to make, it doesn't matter. Okay, so the point I was trying to get to, so assuming there's 3 seats that are going to run, and there's at least one contested per thing, the dynamics become very different, right? Now, if all 3 don't run, and this is why elections matter, this is why people putting their hat in the ring matters. So if it goes the track that you're going, all 3 don't do that, and there's 3 new that comes on there, that's kind of makes it even worse because the 3 that are going to do it.
I think all 3, if I was a betting man, and I am a betting man, I would not be surprised if all 3, McGill, Payne, and Snook, are completely off council in the 1st of January 2024. And that decision will be determined in November of 2023, if not sooner, in a Democratic primary.
So looking at body language and all that stuff, that's a pretty sure thing, I think, at this point.
Yeah.
But we don't know what's going to happen in the next year and a half, right?
So the question you got to ask is, it's like in sports. Would you hire, if you're a college head football coach, when the athletic director position is not filled? No. You wouldn't hire a head football coach when the athletic director position is not filled. City council is the athletic directors. Why would the city council hire a city manager when 3 spots on council could be potentially up for grabs again? It's the same scenario as the athletic director and the head football coach.
Well, so again, maybe the city council isn't at that rotation, but in the state of Virginia, there's elections every year. There's constantly turnover on boards, on board of supervisors. I got that right, on city councils. So, the cycle is always there. This is the norm of being, there's always somebody up for election. So they're not going to stop a process, if I heard you correctly, stop a process because there may be new. Is that the point you were trying to make?
The point I'm trying to make is the closer we get to the election next year,
we're saying the same thing.
The likelihood of hiring a city manager becomes less and less and less.
So I tell people all the time that if you wanted to hire me to consult, to do something, not general real estate over that, there's 2, to get a subdivision approved, get something approved, there's 2 times of a elected body's life you do not want to be submitting a new project. First one is where we're in right now, which is the budget season. You don't want to do that because they'll be focusing on budget. They just can't only focus on a couple of things at the same time. And the other thing is in this little election period that you just described, right? So when all of a sudden now there's new seats up, and you're 100% right. Some city council, some board of supervisors might walk back and say, well, I'm not making a decision because I'm not going to be here to live with it, right? I'm not going to make this decision for Jerry, who's coming in, or somebody else. But there's usually 2 little windows, so that that exist. Did that make any sense?
Kind of.
Kinda.
Yeah.
Got it.
I mean, I think we can say
So
that. I think we can say that the council is distracted by the budget now, right?
So that's not exclusive to the
Oh, of
city
course,
council.
that's every government. Yeah.
So that's the point I'm trying to make. So during budget season, which is starting early and earlier these days, right? It used to really not start until after the first of the year. Now it's really starting in November and December when the department starts saying, hey, this is the amount of money I want and all this great stuff. And it lasts till about April, right? That's usually the budget season. So it's hard. Like Ned's a prime example. Ned wants to come on the show and talk, but look, I'm in the middle of budget season. I don't have the bandwidth to go ahead and do that. The second thing is election season, right? And that starts around, assuming who's up for election, that starts around June, July till November. Does that make sense? Did I do a better job? No, I didn't do a better job.
I think what we're seeing here is we're seeing 5 folks that have been distracted by a budget and not focused on hiring a city manager. And until the budget is established
or maybe they just said, okay, I've hired Judah, right? Or I hired Jerry. I'm good. Now I can focus on this other stuff. And then let me focus on this other stuff, and then we'll revisit.
Because we know it's going to take months to interview a city manager.
Yeah.
And we already have a paper trail of city managers coming and taking jobs and quitting the position before they come on market, before they come to the job. And that's the guy from, was it Mark Woolley from Pennsylvania? He quit days before the job was ready to start.
Yeah, well, there was a little controversy floating around in the background on that one too.
And then he bashed the city in Bloomberg.
Yeah. So my prediction, for what it's worth, maybe we should take out the crystal balls here, but my prediction for what it's worth, as long as this is working, this contract employee is working, this consultant is working, I don't see that changing, and I think this is the point you're trying to make. I don't think I see this changing until the new council sit on 2024.
I mean, there's a timestamp on there, right?
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they can't extend the contract.
But there is a timestamp on the contract.
Yeah, but they can. That's
okay.
Yeah.
And that they're spending considerably more on this hired gun than what a city manager position normally would entail.
Yeah, but you are now a city councilor, right? You're a business.
It's a 6-month contract. They're
Okay.
putting this in the feed. The contract is up June 18th.
I got it, but that doesn't mean I don't have the contract committed to memory. Right? But I suspect that there's some extensions built into that, right? Most contracts do on that end of it, right? But yeah, so are you saying, what was the date, June?
June 18th.
Yeah, it is June 18th of this year.
Yeah.
I
mean, Keith, that is April, May. That is 75 days
This
from
is
now.
not even a bet. They're going to extend it. They're going to have to extend it.
And
right?
if they extend it, it's going to take it till the end of the year. So if it's taken till the end of the year,
or the consultant's going to go, I want a 1-year contract. I want a 2-year contract.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
My whole point is, the closer we get to the election, the likelihood of this council hiring a city manager becomes less and less because it will be a lame duck city manager.
So other than the cost, why do they need to hire one? Put the cost aside. Why do they need to hire one?
Well, generally, you want the CEO of your city to live in the city and be from the city.
Absolutely. It's a requirement, actually.
Yeah. And not to be somebody
which is an interesting thing because
paid exorbitant fees and not living in the city.
I'm curious how they circumvented that on this end of it. And there may be, and Neil or Sean will, whoever in the feed can surely dig this up. There may be some statute that states they only can do it for a certain period of time. So we just had this whole conversation about extending it in 6 months. There may be some statute that they have to live in it, or it may be a policy, right? If it's a policy, then the city council can change it. But look, assuming it's allowed to happen, assume it's going to do all this stuff, why would they? It's going to get extended. I mean, I can't see why it wouldn't.
The only reason it wouldn't get extended is if they want to hire a city manager before this council is over. Before this council's term is done.
We know for a fact at this point it's going to have to get extended because they're not advertising for any. I mean, they're not really. At least I'm aware of. You might be aware of it. I don't think they're out there looking for somebody.
I mean, I don't think. I would hope to God that information would be out there. I don't know it's out there.
It's supposed to be public.
Yeah,
right.
I think right now they're so focused on the budget and the fact that the budget's in utter shambles.
Yeah. I think we're saying the same thing.
Kind of. We'll see what happens. Regardless, you have a municipality, when they raise the rates like they're doing and raise the taxes like they're doing, they're not making it more affordable. And that's why my initial point with all this was maybe the city doesn't want the affordability to happen. Maybe they're fine with just getting an expensive community and just driving revenue on wealthy people.
So I'm pretty sure nobody's actually thinking that, saying this is what we want to do. It's the result. It's the result of their inability to perform, right? That's the result. The result of that process on that end of it. But it's interesting. I saw one of your feeds the other day about the tax relief, real estate relief thing. And I actually did a little homework on that because I dug up the state ordinances on it because I wanted to see what the jurisdictions can do and the jurisdictions can't do. And it's pretty broad, right? Because, we're a Dillon rule state. So anytime I look at something like this, I start looking at the Muni code for the state, right? What they can do and they can't do. So the current program that they have right now, there's a disability and age. So you got to be 65 and a certain amount of money. As you well know.
Yeah.
They also have another program that caps I believe it's
375,000.
75,000.
Michael Payne has outlined this well.
And it also caps the income at $55,000, right?
That's right.
So there's no rule that I could find anyway that says, okay, you know what? We're going to make the income, I'm picking numbers.
But you realize this, though. This is extremely important language. I'm reading it verbatim.
Okay.
If you own or are living in your home in the city of Charlottesville and you are 65 years of age or older or permanently disabled and have a yearly income of $55,000 or less, $55,000 or less is obviously extremely doable for elderly that are retired, right?
Without doubt.
They're retired.
Got it.
Probably won't have any income. The key caveat here is, and a net worth of $125,000 or less.
How does that work? If I got a house that's
That's
300,
what I'm telling people.
If I got
You got a home that's assessed over 375, and you're elderly and retired, the likelihood is you have more than $125,000 of equity in your home.
Assuming they include their property as part of the net worth. So that
That's part of the net worth.
Well, no, they get to choose their own formula, Jerry. What you and I consider net worth,
okay, I stand corrected. Net worth excludes the fair market value of the home you live in.
That's what I thought.
Okay, excludes it. So that does not factor it in.
So
net worth is not your home value. I stand corrected.
Yeah. So I'm going from memory, which my memory's not the world's best since a certain age that happens.
You would think a lot of retired people being retired.
So here's the problem with this, Jerry. There's two problems with that. Let's assume they don't change that, right? So by the way, that's verbatim out of the code.
Yeah.
So
you're right.
There's verbatim out of the state code. This isn't something that they have amended or they changed on all this stuff. Here's the other problem you have with that. What's the timeline that you have to report this to qualify, to say, I want this? It's 1 month. It's literally 1 month that you have to do that. I don't know, what's the second problem is? Other than what we're doing right now and your network and Real Talk that we've created and all this stuff, nobody's talking about this. Nobody's talking about this.
I'm talking about it constantly on the I Love Steve-O show.
I know that, but nobody's talking about it, but it's gone now. The timeline is over. It's February 1 to March 1. I believe that, if I got that right. I believe you have to notify the city, and I may be mixing the county up because they have different dates on that. But it's a 1 month window. So if Judah qualifies for that, and Judah doesn't know about this program, right, and all of a sudden hears of us talking about it here on the 22nd of March, on that end of it, he's SOL for 12 months, period. So change that, folks. That's a simple change, right? So you can apply for it at any time. You can apply for it at any time.
Why wouldn't they do that?
The Twitter feed I was having on this project in Charlottesville is, bureaucrats, bureaucracy, red tape, green tape, they tend to have lives of their own on that end of it, and maybe maybe there needs to be one person hired to do this. Maybe this hired gun who's listening to the show might say, okay, let's do this. I've found of doing this for a long time that unless somebody says something to them, they just kind of move along the way it's been going, right? So, make a phone call. Jerry, I'll make a phone call. Say, okay, Mr. Payne, you want to help? Here's a simple fix. Now, it also may be a state ordinance. They're only allowed to do this for a month. I don't know enough about that.
What they should do is raise that threshold from $375,000.
But they have a second program. You know that, right?
Yeah, I do know they have a second program.
And that second program is not age related.
How many homes do you think in the city of Charlottesville are assessed below $375K?
Well, that's a question for another show because we can actually do that.
Yeah, we can look at the GIS.
No, I can do that on my program that I have.
Would you say of the homes, it's less than 10%?
Well, I can tell you now it is.
Yeah, after the last assessments.
I can tell you 2 years ago.
It was very different.
It was very different, right?
Yeah.
Because
now, would you say it's less than 10%?
So that same house that we talked about on Nassau Street 2 years ago was a market value, not tax value. Market value was $300,000. So it raised $100,000 in 12 months.
Neil, Kevin's saying you have to reapply for tax relief?
That's a great question. I think you have to reapply every year. I believe so. But the window's shut down. That's the problem.
Right. It's passed. The window's closed.
He's
definitely right about that.
The window is shut down. I'm pretty sure, most of these things like land, what they call land use taxes out in some of the counties, like if you've got a farm or something like that, you have to...
The reason they do have the window, for those that are wondering, and it ended March 1, is because of the labor-intensive nature of this application process.
Yeah, so hire somebody.
And hire somebody. They don't have a city manager.
Oh, did you?
They don't have a city manager.
Yeah, I know.
They don't even have a CEO.
Yeah, I know that. That was an easy thing to say.
Yeah.
But
hire somebody. They have 24%.
Hire somebody. Bye-bye.
24% of the police department is vacant.
Yeah. So you're 100% right.
How are they going to...
So you now just added the other thing, right? This is the way it's working. Plus, they don't have the resources, the human resources, to go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
Right. Look, I mean, this is.
It's in shambles.
Yeah. Well, shambles is a strong word, but it's the hiring of people is the same problem. I've got some other projects that I'm aware of that are in their surrounding jurisdictions that are 6 to 8 months behind schedule because they don't have enough people to review them.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
But that's a problem everybody's dealing with right now. That's everybody from
the building permits.
William Ritchie, right? Folks that are in the restaurant business. Everybody's struggling with
the
that.
Bebedero ABC license. We got clients that are in the remodeling space getting building permits right now.
Months.
Dude.
Months.
Yeah.
Wait till he tries to get a CO.
Wait, and the building permit window of meeting with somebody, it's like
15 minutes.
Yeah.
I know.
It's like 3 hours, 2 days a week.
Yeah. Well, because they're understaffed. So this is a chicken and egg kind of thing, right? So how are you going to hire more people? Well, first of all, there's nobody to hire. Right? That's the first problem, which you can't fix. But even if there is somebody in the
Secondly, you don't have the CEO in place to hire people.
Thirdly, you don't have the capital.
Yeah, you don't have the revenue to hire people.
Right? And the only good or bad thing about local governments, I think they're typically only 1-year contracts, right? So there's not a long standard, unless you negotiate something at a city council, at a county administrator or city administrator.
Vanessa Parko, it's not about what the councilors want, it's about what's practical. Government programs cost money. The government doesn't produce anything. Its only source of money is taxation, which means it's reaching into someone's pocket, a business, a resident, or a visitor. The more we depend on the government for services, including relief for lower fixed income residents, the more they're going to tax us.
So that brings it back to the land trust, right? That we now sold our 10th home this morning, actually, over there at Spring Hill. We are producing homes that are in the 50 to 60% AMI for $20,000 a unit. We went out and raised that money That there wasn't government money. You sat in this chair here for 12 hours and helped us raise a substantial amount of money to go ahead and do this. So it doesn't take a lot of money to do this. It takes relationships to do it. And that's the reason why we've been so successful, because we have the private sector, the public sector, the nonprofit sector. We have lenders involved in it to go ahead and do this. If you're reliant upon the government to do it, it's never going to happen.
Yeah, and she says, I favor programs that attract businesses and industry to Charlottesville with more jobs that will drive the B poll tax. Vanessa, you and I have identical ideologies in so many things.
That was interesting. I can't talk about it, but it was a commercial client of mine that was looking to do something in the Zion's Crossroads area. It didn't matter which side of the line, and he's moving someplace else purely because of lack of housing affordability. They can't. Where are the people going to live? They want them to live a certain distance away. This was a substantial potential employee base, right? About 100, 150, depending on the operation they were going to set up. And they've just moved down the road. They're going to move down the road to someplace they don't know yet. I think it's actually a different state that they're going to move to. But that's kind of where that is. It's the same thing. The nurses, right? They're trying to hire nurses, and the first question a nurse says, okay, where am I going to live? Hence, back to the 170 on Stribling, right? If they turn out to be $400,000 and $450,000 unit homes, who's that buyer profile, right? Who is that buyer profile? Is that buyer profile the $40,000 or $50,000, the $60,000 or the $70,000?
No.
$80,000? It's not.
No.
It's not, particularly with interest rates
going up,
climbing up. So that
personal property taxes and assessments and a potential tax rate increase and inflation and gasoline and groceries.
We are.
Did you see the 60 Minutes on Sunday?
I did not.
60 Minutes on Sunday. Anybody that's watching this program, we got a lot watching. I encourage you to Google 60 Minutes, March 20th, 2022. Just Google that. 60 Minutes, March 20th. Housing. And they legitimately highlighted renters that saw their rents go up 30% plus year over year. And they highlighted, now granted, this isn't impacting Charlottesville here, how major corporations are scooping up housing stock.
So correct, yeah.
And then they also highlighted how building now, because rents are so high, that
they're building for rental units.
Building for rent as opposed to building for purchase.
Sure, yeah. So it depends if that's how their business model is structured, but
basically saying that millennials and younger now are no longer likely to be homeowners anytime soon.
I don't. Maybe me being a bit Pollyannic about it, I don't necessarily agree with that statement. What it's going to be is more expensive, right? And the buyer profile, right? That's the term du jour in our industry. Is the buyer profile is going to start shifting, and again, it's going to start shifting to if these units are $450 or $500,000 or whatever the number is going to be. Just do it's a great question for Scott tomorrow to ask them, for a $450,000 house, right? What's my, with the traditional down payment, what is my monthly payment going to be in today's mortgage rate environment, knowing that it's going up, by the way, on that end of it, and then work your way backwards. Who is that going to fit? And I'll bet you it's mostly these tech folks that are coming in. Right, mostly these six-figure jobs that are coming in. That I may be wrong.
I think you're 100% right. And guys, we have not even seen, and I am extremely grateful for the School of Data Science opening, because I think it's going to have a huge impact positively on the economy. But I'm telling you, when this school opens, it's going to very much change the housing landscape in this community.
So, over the we're in our beginning of our fourth year of doing this together, you're becoming very much so a real estate expert, right? On this end of it, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you a question you ask me all the time. So where are they going to go? What in your opinion is, there's going to have to be...
City of Charlottesville is going to be wealthy people.
That's not the question.
And the outer counties are going to be the folks that serve the city of Charlottesville.
Got it. That was what I was trying to get
Yeah.
to. Right. So where is the cop? Where's the fireman? Where is the teacher? Where is that going to be? But that's not even happening in the outer counties, Jerry.
Well, it's happening in Buckingham. It's happening in Waynesboro. It's happening in Stanton. It's happening in Augusta County. It's happening in Greene.
Green. They
Parts of Greene are still in the 2s and early 3s.
Yeah, but I'm talking about approval of more units, not what the current market is right now on growing.
Scottsville, the Bird Streets right now, there's development there. It's happening.
Got
So
it.
it does exist.
So 2 years ago, this well, I'm talking more about what projects, increasing more density, right?
Yeah.
Because we need that more density. Otherwise, it's just because what's happening out in just Fluvanna County, which is my home county, right? You know, these $300,000, $400,000. I was looking at new
It's
construction.
not happening there.
It's not because.
Yeah, well, Supervisor Fairchild does not want it to happen.
And it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And my point is, so where's it going next, right? So Buckingham, well.
Buckingham, Scottsville, Augusta, Waynesboro. It's all happening there.
But what is Augusta and Waynesboro? So the folks that are watching it right now, I looked at numbers there. They're in the 3s now.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
So they're going to start climbing, and that wall is just going to, or that rubber band is just going to start growing and
expand.
growing and growing.
Yeah.
And oh, by the way, with $4 to $5 a gallon of gasoline, which I actually ran some numbers about that new Chevy.
The Bolt?
No, the Silverado that's coming out.
Uh-huh.
My wheels.
Truck?
You know what the starting price on that is?
Tell me.
105.
Well, I actually looked at the Ford, ran numbers on the Ford. It was
The Lightning.
You
Yeah,
can get a work truck at 40.
So I can get a work truck Silverado around the same price.
Yeah, 40 and change.
So Silverado at the moment is only offering 2 options. The work truck for 40 and then the RST or whatever they're calling it.
The deluxe one.
Which is 105.
Yeah, Lightning is 90. The deluxe
The
one.
high end of it.
Yeah, yeah.
So I was actually thinking about our show that we did this in. Am I okay with this?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I was doing some math on that. So my Tacoma has 75,000 miles on it. It's 5 years old, right? On that end of it.
It's a good looking truck.
Thank you very much.
That'll run for a long time.
Yeah. Well, that's the point I'm trying to make. It's the limited. It's the top of the line Tacoma, right? Which would be equal to the Chevy RST Silverado. Maybe the Silverado's a little bit bigger on the end of it, but my truck tows 8,000 pounds. The Silverado tows 8,000 pounds. My point is, I bought that brand new 5 years ago for $40,000, right? Top of, you can buy one right now, probably somewhere around that price point and all that stuff. So I did some math on how much gas. So at $2 a gallon versus $4 a gallon, if I went out and bought a new truck for $100,000 or $90,000, you know, how many years would it take me to make up the difference? Kind of like a mortgage thing?
Forever.
It's like forever.
It's forever.
It's forever.
Yeah.
So the new plan is.
That's why, like, when we'll just say politicians want to say, you want to combat inflation? Buy an electric vehicle. You want to do something great for the environment? Buy an electric vehicle. Guess what? It sounds great on paper.
Oh, no.
Then you have to buy it.
Yeah, so we're blessed. Yona and I are super blessed, right? Right. We everybody who knows our story, we lost everything we had. We busted our ass. We're doing great, right? We're doing great right now. So my truck's paid off.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm just going to leave my truck, and I'm going to go buy a Bolt for $30,000, and that's what I'm going to use to run around town and keep my truck for when I need my truck until Mrs. Smith tells me it's time to move, and then I'll sell my truck. But I need my truck because on Sunday we were looking at property for a client up in Weston Albemarle. I needed my truck to go and walk property. We walked a bunch of lots and all that stuff. And
you need the 4-wheel drive.
I needed 4-wheel drive. I needed my truck to go ahead and put 4 adults in the vehicle and drive up the side of a mountain to look at the top of a mountaintop. I need that periodically. I don't need it every day.
Did they buy the land? Are they going to buy it?
Oh yeah, we're going to write a contract on it.
Yeah. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Very nice.
So we got to get it accepted. That's the tricky part.
Is it a multiple offer scenario?
No. This is
A little less competition on the dirt, right?
yes and no. Maybe yes, maybe no. Yes.
Maybe yes, maybe no.
It depends on where it is. This particular parcel,
It's deep in Albemarle.
it's deep in Albemarle. It has a ton of expenses for driveway. It's going to take a lot of work to get to the home site and do all that stuff. But so land contracts, most people don't know, have a study period built into them. So that's what we're going to do, is do a study period.
This is from Stephen, and we'll close on this. He's exactly right. The government, and referencing what I was saying, the government is looking to keep this expensive because the revenue associated with expensive keeps the government locally able to afford new things and projects.
Well, I'll be a Pollyannic about it. I think that they honestly are trying to do the right thing. It's just they don't have the tools or they just don't see things. I see this all the time, particularly with these housing meetings I'm in. When you throw something at them, well, how about this idea? You can see the deer in the headlight looks like they've never thought of it.
Because they've never had to. They're not business.
They've never. It's just not what
business people.
It's just not what they do, right?
I mean, you got, all the counselors are great.
I will tell you, every single meeting I've ever met with the exception of a few, like Ned, who's a business guy, almost every one of them asked me, so how did you go from losing $17 million, from losing we lost everything except what was important, which was our family, my wife and my kids and my home,
to rebuilding,
to doing what you're doing. They don't understand, and I take the time and I explain it to them, and the light bulb kind of goes on a little bit on that end of it. But they don't, to them it's like, well, I would have just put my head in the dirt. I would have, no.
I mean, a perfect example of this, and he's my friend. I see him a few times a week, Mayor Snook.
Oh yeah.
His office is right there, like literally right there.
Sure.
How many steps is it from his office to mine?
25. I'll count it later and report in.
Yeah.
Because I got to use the
25 feet.
I got to use the bathroom. That's right next to
I see him every day, basically.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah. Sure.
Every day.
Sure.
And I was taken aback by his comments that a designated outdoor refreshment area would not drive new tax revenue or be a good source of new taxes.
So what was his rationale for that?
He didn't really have one. His rationale is...
He didn't say, well, maybe the costs are too much, right?
No.
That's a reason.
His rationale...
So what, do we know what that cost is going to be? Do you have a ballpark?
We don't.
Yeah.
Because the city hasn't put a plan in place to do it.
So let me give you some advice.
Major concern on this. Danville is going to put one into play in April. You got Manassas having one.
Sure.
You got Winchester having one.
Sure.
You got Richmond talking about one in Scott's Addition.
Sure.
You got Williamsburg talking about one. Albemarle County's talking about one.
Yeah.
What is going to happen?
So the answer,
the jurisdictions all around Charlottesville have one, and Charlottesville does not.
So I would have been comfortable with the answer, and I think the world of Lloyd, by the way.
Yeah,
right?
I love. He's my friend.
I think the world of him. But the answer I would have gave you is, well, I'm going to see how these jurisdictions are doing and cherry pick apart what's working for them and what's not working for them. But let me give you something. It's part of how I've got the conversation changed from affordable housing to housing affordability. It takes time. It takes years to do that. Put together a business plan. I think you've already done this, haven't you?
I did.
That's
have.
what I thought.
Yeah, I have.
Sorry about that. I forgot about that.
Put together the numbers, how much revenue could be projected.
Did you put the cost side to it?
Yes. Yeah. How you could do it.
Yeah.
How it would go about happening.
So the other answer, they're probably going to say, we don't have the staff, which is normally, so when you come up with a great idea like that, usually the pushback from the jurisdictions is, we don't have the staff for that.
Make it a public-private venture.
There you go.
Get Friends of Seaville to fund it. Why do you think?
Not even that. Get Friends of Seaville to fund it and manage it.
Exactly. Isn't it a hell of a coincidence that a nonprofit sprung up at exactly the time that a designated outdoor refreshment area is a possibility?
And cleaned up a building, thank God.
A nonprofit that is founded and has a member board of the most influential downtown landlords in Charlottesville?
And has the capital to do something that it wants to do?
Is that a hell of a coincidence?
Of course not. So it's interesting because we're talking about this budget and all this stuff. And I had a wake-up call once. I won't go into the particular details on it, but it was me trying to get money for the Nassau Street from the city council. And I came in this thing a little bit clear-eyed going, look, this is a great thing, da-da-da-da-da-da-da. And I didn't realize how many nonprofits compete for this budget, this money. And then I realized 3-4 years ago that the path to making this work, making this mousetrap we created, this land trust model work, is not depending on money from the government. My conversation with the government is, you know what? Just don't get in my way, right? Just don't get in our way. Just don't make rules to stop us to help other people. We'll go find the money. And I realized that we were able to do this for $20,000 a unit. And we are putting 10 families in 10 homes in 10 months in the county of Albemarle that has not been done for, I think it was like 12 years of it. It's just, and it works because we put the right people in the like Friends of Seaville is doing, the right people at the table. Everybody got out of our way. They went and helped us go ahead and do it, and it's making something. So I'll continue, maybe just because of who I am, I will continue to try to push this rock uphill. But you're right, it gets frustrating. It really does. Truth be known, we had a little bit of an open my heart moment last Friday at the end of the show. Yona was asking me this morning, why are you, because I'm a little been down actually the last couple of weeks, last week or so. And I'm just, my comment was, and I've actually got a land trust board meeting today, and I'm just tired. I've been doing this, beating my head against the wall and the drum to change this narrative that you said. And I love you with all my heart and soul. But you have no idea what effect it has on me when you say that affordable housing is a buzzword.
I would rather.
And I know that's not directed towards me. I know that. Let me get this out. I know that's not directed towards me on that end of it. But it's like, you think to yourself, you know what? He's right.
I am right. I'm 100% right.
And
everyone knows that. And I feel for you. I'm empathetic for you.
But then I write a contract. I sign a contract this morning for a teacher.
Okay. You're talking Nassau?
No, this is over at Spring Hill Village.
Okay.
I sign a contract.
Where is that?
So that's on where Avon and Monticello, Route 20 and Avon come together at the end of it.
So Albemarle County.
It's Albemarle County. Yeah.
Okay.
I got that one right.
Yeah.
It's Albemarle County, right? But then I signed a contract this morning for a teacher that's making 50% area median income, a single mom, and her daughter that are going to be in a home in May or June. So you kind of go, all right, well, it's working. But I'll tell you what, brother, it is hard to do that. It's hard to be the one that's banging the table all the time and you get pushback.
We are grateful for your efforts.
Oh, sorry.
Grateful for your efforts.
I know you. I'm just sharing.
The reality is you cannot have affordable housing if you raise tax rates. Well, if you increase taxes associated with rooftops.
Well, you can if there's a pool of money.
But there's not.
And it doesn't have to be private money. It doesn't have to be public money. It can be private money. But there is a possibility of that is if the jurisdictions get it right and offer tax relief. Let me throw something else out that way, which I have not been able to get done. And this is going to blow your head. Do you realize I'm still trying to get the city council not to tax the land trust for its land?
And what do they do?
We're busy right now. We're tax season. We don't have the resources. We don't have.
One of my favorite things about my wife? She is
other than she's smart and gorgeous.
Brutally honest with me.
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
She never, ever, ever
sugarcoats anything.
Blows smoke up my tail.
Mm-hmm.
And she says, Jerry, you're doing something because you want to make it happen without realizing that it can never happen.
Yeah, oh, that hurts.
And you know what?
That hurts.
In the moment, it stings, but with the benefit of hindsight,
she's right.
She's right.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. It's funny. You're 100% right. Maybe that's why I'm in a bit of yeah, Jerry, you're 100% right. Maybe that's why I'm in a bit of
A funk.
No, I can't say that.
You could say funk?
No, we can't.
Oh, because of Emily?
Because of Emily
Yeah.
Funk. We say I'm in a Smith.
Dispirited?
No, yeah, Yona was asking me this morning, what the hell's wrong with you? And I'm just like, look, you know better than anybody. The app, and I'm trying not to make this about me.
Yeah.
And I'm just,
I love it. No, please.
it's just, Keith and Jerry doing what I love to do with you on that end of it. But you know what? You wake up at 2 o'clock in the morning and go, why the F am I spending Jerry, I clock my hours,
I know how much you do.
30 to 40 hours a week of phone calls, stuff, to do all this stuff for these multiple things. This is BS. I just came from spending a week with my granddaughter and my grandson going, well, hold it, right? But on the flip side, I signed a contract this morning and we're going to help one family, which is great.
In Albemarle County.
Yeah, I got the
Not City of Charlotte.
Not the City of Charlotte.
Yeah, Albemarle County.
Albemarle County. So, but yeah, it's
I applaud your efforts. We're fortunate to have you in the community.
So-
You're A+ people. I know you work hard at it.
yeah, but
City of Charlottesville's a pipe dream. The cost of land is too expensive.
and Albemarle County's becoming that way. Fluvanna County's becoming that way, right? I dare say Buckingham eventually is going to come that way.
And the City of Charlottesville and the J-Dubs, see who's outside. I think we have a fan outside that was trying to come in here. You can welcome in if they need to come. I'll close with this.
Oh,
We'll close.
sorry.
'Cause I got to go pick up something from a client here before the next show.
And I've got a 12 o'clock meeting.
Yeah, so we both got to roll.
Jerry, thank you for doing this.
Yeah, 100%. When Michael Payne is writing messages on Facebook saying if we do this project, we won't be able to do any affordable housing,
Whoa. Which project are we talking about?
the school reconfiguration.
Got it.
Raising the tax rate. Thank God they've gotten off that ridiculous ledge.
Well, I think that was just inevitable. That was just, as you call it, a pipe dream.
It's a pipe dream.
Yeah,
He basically said if we do school reconfiguration at 10-cent real estate tax rate increase, we're freezing the capital improvement budget
period.
for 8 to 10 years.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Do you understand what that? You get it.
I understand that because
Yeah.
that is always the conversation.
8 to 10 years.
That is always the conversations, all the jurisdictions. That's why if you remember, everybody tweaks out about the CIP budget. That really doesn't mean that much unless it's funded, right? And you're now saying, well, time out. We're not going to fund it because we've got all these other things. So our priorities have just changed.
That's what I'm saying.
Our priorities just changed,
Yeah.
yeah. But that's part of why you stay up and watch the city council meeting, and you got to go, and I
I do. Unbelievable. Keith, great show. I mean, the engagement was off the charts. Off the charts.
Well,
Off the charts.
I love these Keith and Jerry, Batman and Robin shows.
They're fantastic.
And I love it when I just bring a blank piece of paper and,
Yeah.
and we chat.
Right. And then you realize that it's 11:45, right?
Yeah, no
Nice.
kidding.
Nancy Gill, former mayor of Scottsville, live to talk development in and around
Oh, cool.
Scottsville today on the show.
Good show.
And then Dino Hocha of Dino's Pizza, live from Las Vegas at the International Pizza Convention.
Oh, good for you, man.
Live from the International Pizza
Oh,
Convention.
what a bummer. I'm in a meeting with
I'm
that.
going to see if he'll spin some pizzas on the air.
Oh, wow, man.
Like literally flip the dough.
I love Dino.
And the Nancy Gill guys talking about development in Albemarle County.
Good
It's going to be
good info.
potentially breaking news today on the program. Good stuff today. Judah Wickower, fantastic. Thank you for joining us, guys, on a Tuesday. Take care. Very well done.
Yeah.
Very well done.
Love it.
You had,